Hello and welcome to another edition of Link to the Past Randomizer. This is Open League playoff matchup between the last Locationeers and Bottles on Empty Conference Finals. Scottish Brave 44 will be racing for last Locationeers, and Maniacal will be racing for Bottles on Empty. I'm North Matty. Joining me in the booth is me and Diem. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, and we've got a pretty hot matchup for everybody. This is the third game of a triple header between these two teams today. Both teams have taken one game, so this is kind of tie-breaking, but it's a best of 5, not a best of 3, so the last Locationeers and Bottles on Empty looking to take a 2-1 advantage after 3 games in one day.
Yeah, the winner and loser, neither one of them will be done, but 2-1 advantage in a 5-game series is pretty big, but no pressure, right?
Oh, none at all, especially not for everybody out there in chat land. For us commentating, we just get to sit back and bring you, hopefully, what's going to be a very entertaining show. It's the runners who have all the pressure.
Absolutely.
This is going to be the Casual Boots Courage Pendant matchup, by the way. Both the Power Players Pick a Mode and the Cross Keys matchup were the first two to go today. So this is just that mode that you know, where you start with the sword in your hand and the boots on your feet. You have to go collect 7 crystals and beat the pig, and with that our runners are off.
Yep, and as Casual Boots does have the standard start, we will get to see everyone's favorite escape sequence where we rescue Princess Zelda and end up running out of the sanctuary.
And we'll start right off with a French vanilla item escape sequence. Normally you find the boomerang in the boomerang chest. Today it's in the house instead. That's kind of entertaining, isn't it? The boots replacement item on the uncle.
He had them, but we already have them, so we didn't need to have a second pair.
What would you do with a second pair? You'd almost have to give them away, wouldn't you?
I think so. It'd really just be weighing you down at that point.
You do have to wonder sometimes, how exactly does the hero carry all of this equipment around? These are not kind of mini-sized kinds of things. We've got full-sized canes and swords, and then you've got the flippers and the boots. Well, you can wear the boots most of the time, but what if you need to put the flippers on instead?
It's an excellent question. I do not have a good answer for you. I just assume that the laws of physics don't really apply to people in this world, and you can just carry whatever and how much you want.
Looks like Maniacal was eking out a little bit of an early advantage there and then lost the spin on that green guard and has kind of allowed things to even back up here in the early going. And we get some early cash money. That'll pay for a couple of bills in the early days. If we don't 5 in bombs, you can use that to buy a few of those.
Yeah, that gets us already a good amount of the total rupees that we'll need if we want to buy everything that you need to buy item-wise, as well as to get in the pod.
And we're getting full slash strats from both runners there. Very nicely done.
And as to be expected, this is very close so far. I would not expect a huge difference between both runners coming out of the escape.
Yeah, there are always room for little time saves here and there. We'll see which runners try to get which of them. But right now, very much a case of following along each other's footsteps in very, very close procession.
Yeah, they at this point do not have a choice on what route they want to take. It is set pretty much in stone. Once they get out, there will be a little bit more room for divergence, but for now, it's do this.
And we can hope by the time our runners get done with the escape sequence here that they'll have some items that will allow them to do those sorts of things. Now, some people like to get the chest in the sanctuary and then save and quit and go do South Shore or something if they want to be a little silly or do something just a little different. The normal old-fashioned play is to just carry right on over into the village where there's a whole lot of item density, where you hope to find those things that are going to allow you to start beating the game.
There's one of those items, possibly. The glove here in Drakras.
That's a good one. One of those that you worry maybe a little more about in an open start where you wouldn't necessarily be going through the escape sequence and want to have a quicker way to get the back 3 items in the escape sequence here that Maniacal's about to show us, and that Scottish is going to show us just a second later.
One of the nice things about the casual boots standard start is with the boots, you don't have to worry about finding a bomb to get into this 3 chest back. In a normal standard, if you don't find bombs, you have to come back.
One of those little quality of life upgrades to casual boots. Meanwhile, in those back 3, we did find the magic powder and the map, so our runners are going to raid the poor box today. There's something in there that's not a map to Hyrule Castle.
Just a piece of heart. We'll get the extremely standard map check here. Red crystals at Eastern and Tower Hera. And the Fire Rod and Bonk Rocks.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I think it was a regular crystal to finish off the Light World and Desert, so we have 3 Pendant Dark World.
Yeah, and depending on what those are, that could kind of vastly reduce the requirements for finishing the seed, depending on which ones are pendants and how everything else goes.
The Dark World dungeons tending to have a little bit higher requirements in terms of being able to beat them, particularly the end-game ones, the mitts being required no matter what, of course, so we can kind of scratch those off the list, but things like Cane of Samaria may be a little less needed today.
A bottle before getting into Kakariko's nice. It means you can check Sick Kid off the list along with everything else you're doing at the same time.
Yep, and it's free safety. We've got the blue potion in it. It don't have a whole lot of hearts to work with just yet, but maybe a little more meaningful later.
Yeah, so Scottish is gonna go over and grab this bomb off the rocks you can bonk right outside of town, and Maniacal got
Says one is enough, but yeah, I think Maniacal, while the frame monster was eating his stream for us, was doing another tree pull, and I think Tier 1 tree pull may have been either the 4 or 8 bombs.
Yeah, so Maniacal is set. Scottish still needs to find another couple of bombs or just go buy them.
A bow and the mitts in Blind's old hideout. Maddie, are we looking at a jet seed here?
I always think it's a little early to say, but those mitts are very early. we find the moon pearl here in Kakariko, and all of a sudden the dark world is open to us.
That can be one of those situations where skipping the village in the early going pays off, because then you come in here, you've done maybe South Shore, maybe you've even gone over and seen Sahasrarla's closet, and you pick up the mitts there in Blind's hideout finishing this up, and you can just duck right into the dark world. It's just a little bit of a different way to look at routing sometimes.
Yeah, getting the moon pearl here would almost open up too much. There's so many different options at that point. It's hard to know what the right choice is going to be.
You almost hope to also find the mirror if you find the moon pearl in here, because then that way you can just start chaining checks together rather than worrying about, well, do I want to get into the dark world really early? Do I need to keep clearing out Sphere 1?
So, other than those mitts and that bow, the rest of Kakariko is really coming up dry.
The bow may simply be the pointer over there to Eastern Palace, since our runners already have Fire Rod. If we don't have a vanilla big key, then we have logical access to the rest of the dungeon already.
Yeah, and even if we don't, I assume that they will complete it anyway.
An entirely reasonable play in the early going, particularly you think, well, that's a red crystal, Tower of Hair is the other one, maybe I have those before I get into the dark world.
Alright, so they're both right on top of each other so far. Neither one tempted by a second bottle with the red potion in it. And they are going to go in different directions.
Maniacal pretty clearly thinking that that bow and maybe also the fire rod along with it are kind of hinting in this eastern direction, while Scottish is going to make one of the more regular plays of any kind of a cast boots or open, and going to get a fairly early South Shore check, and is almost immediately rewarded with the Sword of Evil's Bane, Master Sword in the Dam.
And we do have the green pendant in pod today. So get all your pendant pod memes fired up.
Flippers and Ether in the back of Sahasrarla's closet for Maniacal there. Unlikely to deter him from heading over to Eastern Palace, of course.
No, he can always actually he'll be able to chain those flipper checks with the South Shore if he chooses to do that without having to fake flipper or water walk or anything like that.
Meanwhile, Scottish is going to show us 5 items in Mini Moldorm Cave. Looks like we're 0 for 3 so far. Full heart container, most interesting thing we found out of 5 items? Not so great.
Not great. A lot of hearts.
And Maniacal shows us that we have a logically clearable Eastern Palace, the big key not in its vanilla location.
Yeah, so Scottish gonna go up, see what's up here in Ice Rod Cave.
We'll see if she wants to maybe set a water walk out of here, go visit Hobo, go to see what's... You can fake flipper up to the guy under the bridge there, and then you can water walk out if you want to check the waterfall ferry, even if the moon pearl hasn't appeared yet.
Yeah, without the ability to pay Zora, you can also just water walk into the waterfall cave and then come back out and then run over to Hobo and be done there, but we'll see. Looks like she's going to go that direction first. And the flute in the big chest in Eastern.
giving us logical access to the mountain, giving us logical access to the mire area, but with no moon pearl yet, that doesn't do us a whole lot of good. Maybe we find Mirror and the moon pearl is hanging out in Checkerboard Cave, as it does from time to time.
It can be tricky like that. Scottish did skip even going and checking the Zora ledge. So both those checks will be sitting there waiting for her to potentially come back at some point.
I think it's one of those situations where, do I really want to go and look at that thing, especially when I have splash deletion equipment, and then just hard orphan Zora until and unless I have the mirror and I go up to do catfish later? You can put Zora in a very difficult to come back to position.
It really is. You don't want to come back when it's just Zora, particularly if you don't find the mirror, and you can't even like put it together with a catfish check.
Interesting that Maniacal choosing not to go for the Eastern Rupee room there. Had already lit the torch, was having maybe a little trouble with that green Igor that holds the key, but there are 90 rupees up in that right-hand room off of that dark room, and when you're sitting at 342 and you have the flippers, I'm a little surprised that he didn't decide to avail himself of those.
He's not interested in paying Zora off.
Now, there are, of course, other ways to gain money with the glove. There are a couple of generous guy caves with 5 rupees under pots. One of them has 20. It's over by Ice Rod Cave. There's another one on the way to Desert that has 50 in it. Or with the glove, and even though you have the flippers, you could push open the tomb over where you would normally get into the back of Escape, and you can perform the hula hand glitch. There are 225 rupees, I believe, in that one. So it's not like Maniacal doesn't have options.
Yep, and he has wrapped up Eastern and gotten the first crystal of the seed, just under 16 minutes. Scottish is going to go through, get her flute, finish off this dungeon as well.
Always feels nice to put that first crystal on the board relatively early.
Yeah, I can feel a little bad if you start getting 30, 40 minutes in, you haven't completed a crystal dungeon. You're just kind of feeling a little behind.
Somebody left some explosives in the tomb of the old king of Hyrule there. Maybe not the most well-loved king in the world.
Maniacal is going to activate the flute, and then we'll see where he goes. He could flute right over to the South Shore, or he could make the couple checks on the mountain that enables.
I feel like from Maniacal's perspective, the South Shore play first makes a lot of sense. Not only are there more things than just the 2 items that he can check on the mountain, but you could also find something like the hookshot or the mirror to give you access to more things on the mountain before you get up there. But we'll see. He's going to flute away, and yes, it is a flute to 7.
Yeah, that does make no sense. Sometimes you don't always do the thing that makes no sense, but no problems with this one.
Looks like Scottish not interested in the Eastern Palace Rupee Room either, is just going to go ahead and head for the boss here. Seems like our runners in the early going are going to be fairly evenly matched here. Maniacal has Mini Moldarm Cave to do, and then Ice Rod Cave, maybe a few flipper checks, but Scottish still has to get back over to Saha's Closet. We know the flippers and the ether medallion are in there.
Yeah, and then she will go and activate her flute. Maniacal getting the bad news about the relative worthlessness of Mini Moldorm Cave today. And then we'll receive the further bad news that Ice Road Cave is also worthless.
It is actually mildly faster, even when you have boots, to go ahead and flute from Mini Moldorm to 8.
It's true, it's hard to remember in the heat of the race.
Particularly since it's a check that you tend to do really early in casual boots, and you don't always have an early flute in casual boots, but just something to bear in mind if you're looking to save a second or two. Maniacal going to have to go about this mildly differently, arming that water walk, but with the flippers in inventory is not going to be able to water walk into the Zora's domain. The shallow water around the whirlpool would stop him from doing so, and would put him back in the normal flipper state. So we're going to see the quick dash up here to the man camping out under the bridge, and after that, we'll see some flipper action. Maybe with a flute away and back to 8.
Yeah, and because Maniacal has the flippers, I expect that he will go and take a look and see what's at Zora's ledge.
Oh, it looks like Scottish is going to go ahead and perform the Houlihan glitch, going to bomb right into what would normally be back of escape. And it is, because she didn't make it high enough north on the screen to lock the camera in the position she needed. That's one of those things that can be difficult to remember when you're doing that after you've gone to something like King's Tomb.
Yeah, I think a lot of times you could make it work even without trying particularly hard, but it does just not work from time to time.
Yeah, your camera is set when you save and quit to Sanctuary, and then you just come out and go over there to do that. You're already kind of set up the way you need to be, but when you've gone further down the screen, the camera is no longer in the position that you want it.
Oh, nothing there on Azora Ledge. Looks like Maniacal is going to turn in the shovel that was found there in the waterfall cave and see if that leads to anything. Kind of running out of things to do. We're getting to some choices that you'd rather not do at this point.
And we see that it's not the shovel, so one of these... really, we've only got the one logical check up on the mountain. Maniacal's going to go for the illogical one first. I don't think we've seen an Agina's cave check yet.
Neither one of them went to Agina. So, unless I'm forgetting something, it's either the Spec Rock Cave or Agina that has our next progression, whether it's the Moon Pearl or something else.
And we should land on it fairly quickly. Now, it could be something silly like the hammer and then turn in the powder at Magic Bat.
But yeah, it could be Zora as well. We don't have the money for it, but it could be Zora. The game doesn't care about your money. You had better figure out how to get the money yourself when it comes to the logic for Zora.
Just go do the farming. That's all you can do.
Oh, well, there's a hook shot. That'll let us do the rest of well, at least the east mountain checks.
9 more opportunities not to have to go to Agina's cave. Fair enough. It is going to be kind of an interesting position here, as Maniacal was too far right there and was not going to get that bomb jump. To see if we get the Moon Pearl up here, then all of a sudden we've got a whole bunch of checks we can do on Dark Mountain as well.
That's true, yes.
Both runners making the run out from the Spectacle Rock Cave there. That's not something you see all that often.
I do think it's faster to just save and quit if you're going, especially if you're taking this hookshot route to the east. And I'm not sure how big the difference is.
I think it's another one of those things where in the heat of the moment, sometimes you just don't think about it. Because save and quit feels like it takes forever. Oh, and there is the mirror in Paradox 2. So now we can go back to the west side of the mountain, and we can get our Moon Pearl out of Tower of Hera, theoretically.
Yeah, or that does open up checkerboard, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Tower of Hera being the other part of our 5-6 Crystal Wombo combo today, I can't imagine that our runners are going to leave it off all that long.
No, and we could potentially have a very early Pyramid Fairy check. A lot earlier than you would normally see.
Or we could have one of those rando specials with the hammer in Pyramid Fairy. We'd still have to find a lamp somewhere to make Aga access nice and logical to make that one work, but it is possible.
Brave gets the bomb jump there on the second try to go over to Spiral Cave here. Another heart there on the floating island. Won't be getting that. I'm fairly certain.
Unless somebody decides to start rage clearing the game, I wouldn't imagine so. I have a few friends who might do that, but Scottish is not among them. At least I don't think she is.
I don't think this is the place for the rage clearing.
And both of our runners going to go ahead and flute away. Maniacal has decided that maybe Checkerboard Cave is going to hold that answer. The old rando meme coming true once again. We'll see with Bombos there for Misery Mire entry.
Yeah, this bunny walk is fun because you get to dodge that murder crow for the entire walk.
Yep, your alternative can be to take an early mirror to go ahead and put it back in its regular location and then continue the walk uninterrupted. And whatever was in Checkerboard, it was clearly not the Moon Pearl because Maniacal is bunny walking back in the other direction.
Over here to take a look at Desert Palace.
Where we have a fruit growing on the desert ledge. That could lead to something, kind of tough to say. And Scottish is right in the midst of a Tower of Hera play now.
Yeah, and that mushroom with the flute, very easy to do a quick check.
When you've already got the magic powder, you don't even have to worry about it. Just go over there and do it. It's not like you're going to try to fake powder anyway. Both of our runners pulling their respective dungeons' small keys there in the span of about 3 seconds.
At least not until you already found the second item, which I don't believe Scottish has. She has found the arrows in the front of Tower of Hera basement, but
Now we'll see. Does the worm have the final item?
Nope, of course, it's in Hera Basement.
Well, Maddie, how do you feel about a basement run? Or maybe the better question is, how does Scottish feel about a basement run right now?
I think you have to do it. It'd be. I guess you don't have to do it.
Well, you don't have to do it if you're Scottish brave, that's for sure.
I would not have the guts to leave it, but she does.
My general rule of thumb is if I'm still missing part of the Dark World access puzzle, I am skipping that 0% of the time. But here we are.
That would be kind of my thought process as well, but she is going to bank on it is nothing.
So we may have quite some time to determine whether or not that particular gamble is going to pay off, but Maniacal is now going to visit the Lanmulla trio for the first time. Has one of them that appears to be a little bit evasive of this fire rod and tries to get away with a short hop, but not meant to be. 3 fried worms and $50 for the time and trouble.
Yeah, nothing new in Desert Palace to help us out here. So we've got that mushroom, and we've got what's there in Hera Basement.
And I think Maniacal's going to show us a Gina now.
Oh yeah, we haven't seen this either. Yes, yeah. And then Zora. Zora's still waiting to be paid. Maniacal does have enough money for it now.
Yeah, 350 rupees in Desert Palace stood Maniacal in very good stead to check the old Scam Master. If the Moon Pearl is there, our runners are going to be in okay shape. And both of the runners now with the 2 crystals on the board. Not the same 2 crystals necessarily, but, you know, both of them will be heading for crystal number 3 here in the very near future.
No, and it certainly will appear that by the time that they get the Moon Pearl, they will have already completed all 3 Light World dungeons, which is something you normally don't do in Rando, like you do in the vanilla game all the time.
Yep, the mode is casual boots, it's not light speed, we're not trying to pull the pedestal for a second sword so that we can go pick up the Triforce on the pyramid. No, this is a normal old-fashioned 7-7 seed. It just happens to have worked out this way this time.
We did get a map check on the Dark World from Nanical, as we had found out earlier from Sahasrila. The Pod is Green Pendant, but also Skullwoods and Thieves Town are other pendants, so everything else will be a regular old blue crystal, and we will need pretty much every item.
Okay, so gonna have to find the hammer, of course. The Cane of Samaria still outstanding. We may need other medallions yet, but we've actually found quite a few things.
And don't forget about the ice rod.
And the ice rod. But we all know that's just in its vacation home at Turtle Rock, right? There's no reason to worry about that. It's practically a vanilla location. Now, I have to think Maniacal, having already seen Checkerboard and done the entirety of the desert area, is going to go back in for Hera Basement, not getting item number 2 off of Moldorm here. Not doing so when you're literally just looking at that or the Zora Lord seems like that would be even more of a gamble than the one Scottish.
Yeah, I think it's just Mushroom and Zora are the only other 2 things that Maniacal can do. It would... I mean, I guess there's only a 33% chance if you're looking at 1 of 3 for something to be there, but yeah, it'd be real tough to skip that at this point.
So, given another 40 seconds or so, we will know whether or not Scottish Brave's gamble has paid off. Now, it looks like she's going to go probably turn in the mushroom first instead, and then we'll likely see the Zora Lord right off.
I have to imagine, but I don't want to guess what she's going to do. It's not the mushroom.
Not even interested in the piece of heart, going to flute away again. Yeah, that's the flute to 8, so yeah, we'll see Zora Lord, and then last location, Hera Basement, but we're going to see Hera Basement here in about 10 seconds from Maniacal.
And if it is, Hera Basement, she won't be that far behind it. This is she's going to be forced. It is Hera Basement. She's going to be forced to do it rather quickly. So unlike sometimes when you skip Hera Basement and it has something and you can clear the whole rest of the game basically without having to come back to it, she will be forced right back to it. So it isn't going to cost too much in this case.
Maniacal going to take that newfound Moon Pearl, and as I was thinking earlier, with the potential of just finding the Moon Pearl up on the mountain, going to go ahead and do Dark Mountain. And King Zora just the 20 bucks. That's unfortunate. That would have been kind of an out for Scottish in having last located the Moon Pearl if there had also been something on Zora. It seems like it would have been the kind of thing that Maniacal might not have gotten back to in a timely manner.
No, because now with the Moon Pearl, he has quite a bit open to him. A large portion of the Dark World. Unfortunately, a lot of it is pendants, but, probably going to have to go into some of those pendant dungeons at some point.
It ought to be interesting to see how both of our runners decide they want to route this Dark World. Scottish still has not seen the Dark World map, I don't think, but here in the very near future, when you have both of those two left-hand side of the map pendants in Skull Woods and Thievestown, how long do you just try to put off the entire area?
It depends. I mean, we can go. We can go into ice. We don't have a hammer. It's tough without the hammer because you need that for quite a few of the dungeons to complete it.
And the other part of it is, of course, since you're on the 2-glove Dark World access instead of glove hammer, it's not like you can just start over by Tripe Cave and see if you happen to get lucky there and go up to Pod. If you want to start on the lower world at the moment, you need to start at that village portal.
Yeah, which makes skipping everything there tough because you're right there. And it's not like you have somewhere else that is extremely pressing calling out to you right now. We do have Bombos on both Misery Mire and Turtle Rock, so we only need to find that one medallion. The ether that we have, functionally useless.
It's still not bad as kind of an enemy clear medallion in some cases. It can be handy in something like Pod Dark Maze if you've yet to find the lamp. If you want to clear out a few Gibdos, it works on those too.
It's a nice to have in the Cold Stare fight, especially with half magic. You can Bombos and then Fire Rod either all the way or the majority of the way through that fight.
And it seems Maniacal has given us his answer already. We're just going to go ahead and have the look in Pendant Skull Woods. No real reason to put it off.
Yeah, well, the game did give us the Fire Rod quite early, so he can complete it if there's an item on Moth and he so chooses.
It is interesting, given the Fire Rod and the potential for that. Goes ahead and clears the front first. Really just wants items, but maybe willing to commit to the boss kill if necessary.
Yeah, probably would rather not go all the way back there. because Moth cannot have a small key, Moth is more likely to have an item than any of the other locations in Skullwoods. Could also have a map or compass.
And at this point, I think we've seen both the map and the compass, so something on the Moth.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen any items yet from the checks that Maniacal's made. Scottish has gotten her Moon Pearl, and she's going to come over here. We'll see if she goes to Skullwoods as well, or goes right back down into Village of Outcasts. She's going to go into Village of Outcasts.
Ah, finally, it only took 39 minutes, but the seed has allowed our runners to diverge at last.
So I would think that she would enter Thieves Town. As a question of whether she will complete Thieves Town, especially without the hammer. A lot of times you'll go in there, open the first 4 chests, one of which is going to be the big key, and the rest of which can be anything.
And it's reasonably easy to get back out when you have the mirror as well. You can just go in and you can check the front 4. You can decide, do I want to stay? If not, the mirror is just a couple of taps away on the quick swap menu. Maniacal finding a sword there on the Moth, so going to have sword advantage here for a little while.
That's nice.
But Scottish wants nothing to do with the pendant dungeons at all, says no to the front 4 of Thieves, and is now over here by the dig game.
Well, she can, do this, go back up, pick up the smith, go back in. Maybe just trying to put it off for a little bit longer.
It's entirely possible. Of course, with the mirror and the flute, it doesn't really matter. You can always just flute back to 3, and with Mit's access, it's relatively quick to get back into the Dark World there. Maybe you want to carry the play as far as the 5-item density of Hype Cave.
Yeah, I could also, take the purple chest over and do that with the mirror. We can get to Cave 45. And like you said, it's pretty easy to get back here if this doesn't work out. Maniacal's going to do the north checks here. He's got Graveyard Ledge, and then might take it over to Catfish. We'll see.
It's possible, particularly with the flippers, and it does seem like Maniacal has been opting for a very, very thorough exploration of the seed thus far.
There's a silver arrows. You'll never say no to those, but not a progression item, but they're nice.
Yep, not unlike that tempered sword. Not progression, but it definitely is something that'll make a few bosses easier.
All right, Maniacal not ready to cross the water over to the east to Dark World. He's going to come back here and probably go back into the Village of Outcasts.
That's an interesting place for the Cane of Samaria that Scottish Brave just found, throwing away a Dark World portal with the mirror there. Otherwise you need to have the hammer. And Magic Bat handing out the red cane today.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a tough one to do without the hammer, because as you said, you lose the Dark World access there. You have to go re-get it. But if only we could go into those dungeons with the red cane. By those dungeons, I mean Mire and Turtle Rock.
Well, in the case of Mire, we're just a bombos away. For Turtle Rock, we're also going to need the hammer. Now, Maniacal, again, the very thorough clear of the seed thus far, is in the front of Thieves Town. Has the big key already.
There's the ice rod there in Thieves Town. So we'll be having to go into the front of Thieves Town to see it at least.
The choice to play thorough rando is definitely paying out for Maniacal thus far. Let's see. It seems that Ice Rod is enough in the front. Found two more items in the back, but it's Pendant Thieves, Mirror, Flute, Mitts. You can come back really easily if it comes to that. While Scottish Brave has pulled the book off of Stumpy.
Yeah, so we can get the Bombos tablet checked down here if she chooses, and then go over to Hype Cave.
Could also do a first chest of Swamp check, which is a check that I don't hate when you're looking for Hammer, because you're otherwise going to have to come back down here from the Mitts portal over at the village anyway.
Yeah, it's a slow one, but it's kind of on the way here.
It's a bit difficult in that you look at it and you think, well, what if the hammer is just in Hype Cave? Then I burn a whole lot of time, but once I've made my way up to Hype Cave, do I really want to come back down for one kind of slow check? Looks like Maniacal does not want to spend that Dark World access portal picking up Kane right now. Depending on the location of the hammer, that may evade him for a little while. And Scottish Brave has found the fourth sword there in Hype Cave. Doesn't look like there was a whole lot else interesting there, but the sword advantage suddenly evens back out.
Yeah, we got the Cane of Burna, which is fine, and if we get the hammer, it lets us do Spike Cave in Logic, but... Actually, I think with the half magic in the bottle, we would have it in Logic anyway. So it might just be completely useless.
Let's see what Scottish wants to do here. Seems to be heading north towards the Skullwoods area now. Maybe going to go ahead and pick these pendants back up. Seems to be kind of playing against the idea of going over to Palace of Darkness right now.
Yeah, both of them putting off pod. I mean, it takes a while to get to, and if you go over there and you don't have the hammer and the hammer's not there, it kind of feels like a waste. But we're getting closer to the possibility of hammer being right there in its natural location in pod. This is always fun.
Yep, those item locations that you never really expect, the ones that are oh so close to their vanilla locations. And it looks like Scottish has seen enough of Skull Woods, not going to go to the boss, not going to be on Buttersword, at least not at the moment.
Was only interested in the first part of Skullwoods. It didn't provide. She said, I'm done with you. Off to the next thing.
The advantage from Tempered to Butter is not nearly so large as the one from Master to Tempered, so unlikely to hurt, or at least unlikely to hurt nearly as much.
No, it's not really. It's not really worth that, especially all the way on Moth. I don't think the gold sword provides any sort of advantage to make up for that.
Now, depending on how terrible the locations for Hammer and Bombos are, it's still entirely possible that Scottish Brave makes her way back there. And here's Maniacal going to go ahead and throw away that Dark World access now, going to be rewarded with the Cane of Samaria here.
Well, having already done all of the other checks down there in the south, didn't really have much of a reason to keep the Dark World access, and it's going to get that cane and probably finish out this Smith chain. You're going to see Catfish from Scottish.
A bit more of an isolated location than it is for Maniacal, who still also has a, well, we know it's a useless item on Zora, but he doesn't know that yet. For Scottish, this was probably the best time to go ahead and do this, having already cleared out Zora's domain.
Yeah, I think you simply wouldn't do this for a while if you didn't do it now. And the stream froze, so we don't know what was on Catfish.
Yep, sometimes the frame monster just reaches up and decides it's going to nom on the things that we really need. But this looks like it's going to be the Palace of Darkness play from Scottish. We'll get a little new information here.
Did she not go to the pyramid?
I do not believe so. Ran down the right-hand side of that kind of rocky outcroppings area there between Pyramid and Pod. Did, however, pick up the silvers on the way, so we're going to see Tempered and Butter Silvered Ganon today. Easy fight, right?
Easy fight, yeah. Shouldn't be a problem. Roken in chat telling us that it was just a heart piece on Catfish. Thank you, Roken.
Maniacal showing us the Mire Shack, a little old place where you can get 2 items, neither of which were particularly interesting today. And Scottish finding out that we're not immediately bow-locked in the front of Palace of Darkness, so we do have a little bit of an invitation here.
Yeah, and without the hammer, we'll be able to clear everything except for Helmasaur.
That hammer starting to be the really outstanding problem child of this rando seed, isn't it?
Yeah, because if it's not in Pod, it's in probably an even worse location. There's our lamp, which does give us that logical Pyramid Fairy access by beating Ega.
An item that Scottish Brave very much appreciates, so much so that she actually has an emote for it. But all runners prefer to have it to not, and it's not always the quickest thing in the world to be running around in the dark.
Now, people, we all learn our dark rooms, but if you can avoid having to do it, it's you're fine with that.
And the big key was also in the front of Palace of Darkness, so that's a pretty reasonable loadout for front of Pod. We still have 4 more items outstanding in here. For everyone watching at home, we can now see that piece of heart on Catfish. It looks like Maniacal's going to carry this play up to Zora. It's really the last convenient chance to do so.
does make sense. Although to go back down the pod, he will need to run back out. Will run and swim back out.
Which can be a little time consuming, but without the hammer, and there's the hammer in Dark Maze, a very French vanilla location for that, would be in a position where he would have to go back over to the village and regain Dark World access anyway, so this is a situation where running out from Zora's domain does make some sense.
A hammer in pod? I've never seen it before.
What, never?
Not once. It's weird.
And Maniacal is going to pick that Dark World portal up, likely to be trotting right on down to Palace of Darkness, which Scottish is still in the midst of clearing out. Now, the real question is, with the hammer not going to opt for Green Pendant Helmasaur, who I think has an item? I'm not sure. I saw at least one dungeon item.
Yeah, I don't recall either. It also, it does have an item on being the green pendant, but it takes a while to get to. And now we can do both swamp and ice. So that is probably what we're going to do. We're going to start with ice.
And this does put Scottish in a bit of a tight spot with that ice rod in Thieves Town. All of a sudden, the world is a little bit of her oyster until the Bombos dungeons come up.
Yeah, for her sake, we'll have to hope that when the time comes to make a Turtle Rock call without that ice rod, she'll choose to do some easier things before heading up there, such as the Front of Thieves.
And Maniacal going to be in Medallion Go mode once he gets there into the Dark Maze and Palace of Darkness, so we're really just looking for one item.
Just that Bombos, which, other than being in Mire Turtle Rock, can be anywhere. The nice thing about that is that when he does find it, both Mire and Turtle Rock will be Go mode dungeons.
It can be a little difficult at times to call Turtle Rock a go-modable dungeon, particularly if you have the big key in its vanilla location. There's not a whole lot you get to do to actually make that dungeon faster.
Sometimes you can skip Laser Bridge.
Well, that does happen on occasion. I feel like more often than not I wind up going 3 or 4 chests deep there anyway looking for a small key, but that might just be my own personal experience.
Not a huge time save.
And Scottish Brave not finding a whole lot here in Ice Palace so far. We have seen a 20. We saw the big key in its vanilla location. We see Maniacal having frames and frames and frames eaten by the frame monster today. Nicely done bomb jump there on Scottish Brave's side. I know a lot of runners tend to just set that up with a spin slash to the edge of the pit for the bomb jump, but seems to have her own lineup that does appear to be working. Finds another red 20 for the time and trouble, though not really what anybody's looking for.
Now, when it comes to all those bomb jump setups and everything, the right way is the one that you're most comfortable with.
The one that works for you is often the one true answer for any rando player. That is the third and final item in Ice Palace. This would have been a go-modable dungeon, but we don't know where that Bombos medallion is, and Scottish Brave also needs to find that ice rod in the Front of Thieves. I do imagine that Maniacal is going to do similar kinds of things after finding the hammer here in Palace of Darkness, in that Ice Palace looks pretty reasonable to play. Maybe it'll be Swamp first.
Yep, but both are both would be defensible. Really, just up to your individual preference. I think what you want to do. Maybe you hope that it's in ice, and then you can just go through swamp really easily, and don't have to think about the left side swamp play.
But that is a 4th crystal on the board for Scottish Brave here, before the 1 hour mark. It is a bit of an advantage at the moment, but she's the one looking for one additional item. Maniacal just 1 from go now. Scottish still needs 2. And yeah, looking over on Maniacal stream, it was both the map and the compass in the Dark U basement of Pod, so an item plus green pendant on Helma, but neither runner wants it today.
I think that's pretty understandable. I mean, it's just the one item for Maniacal. You're just gonna bet that it's not there. It's in one of the many other possible locations, and hopefully it's just along your route that you're gonna take here in Ice and Swamp.
Yeah, it's the gamble. You hope it's just in one of the crystal dungeons that you have to do anyway, which is a really nice gamble as long as it works. As expected, Scottish leaving Ice Palace, going to another full clearable crystal dungeon in Swamp Palace. And this is the standard play.
I think the only question is, will Scottish do the left side? Even if she doesn't do it the first time through, it's always possible to come back and do it. We know that she won't be in go mode by the end of this because the Ice Rod is in Thieves Town. So she will have a choice.
Obviously, for a Bottles on Empty partisan, you're wanting the Bombos Medallion to just be in Swamp, and then Maniacal will be set to go. If you're a partisan of Last Locationeers and Scottish Brave, you're kind of hoping probably for a Back of Thieves Bombos Medallion.
Somewhere else, yeah.
Because I don't think that Scottish is going to get over to Thieves Town until it becomes really kind of a forced choice, so very likely to do it in one dip at that point. And if it's on Helmasaur King, then all bets are off, because neither of our runners are going there before Hard Last Location.
Yeah, Hard Last Location or close to it.
Speaking of potential last locations, Spike Cave with that hammer is now a thing, and there's not a whole lot up there to do since both of our runners took that Moon Pearl and then did the Eastern Dark Mountain.
Yeah, the only other thing is that they neither of them have done Ether Tablet, so you can talk yourself into there being 2 things to do up there.
It comes down to choices, gambles, and playing the percentages. How quickly do you get to the place where the thing is? Maniacal getting the bad news that we just had another one of those red 20s there in Iced Tea Room, something that you would really like to be able to skip because there's not particularly a good way to go about getting to that location.
But you usually end up having to go there at some point in your perusal of Ice Palace anyway.
Scottish Brave opting for the early left side play. We've got a red 20. Let's see about the vanilla big key location.
Just another blue potion.
I feel like we sight checked another bottle that nobody picked up relatively early, maybe on race game. So I think we've got functional bottle percent now.
Yep, that's all of them. Only Scotch Brave only has 3 because she didn't pick that one up on the race game, but yeah, we've seen them all. And Maniacal evens up the crystal count, finishing off Cold Stare. And we'll probably be following Scottish right here into Swamp now.
So an hour and 4 minutes in, it's probably as good a time as any, as Maniacal's going to start making checks that Scottish has made here to remind you to go ahead and give these runners a follow if you've been enjoying the show they've been putting on for you on this Saturday afternoon. Let's see if we can't find somebody to throw that in chat, or maybe we can just do it ourselves. Let's see.
Let's also shout out our tracker, Nochibato, clicking those buttons and keeping us informed of what everyone has done in this seed. And so
one of the usually unsung heroes, we should make sure to sing our trackers because, well, they help make the show a lot better, especially in this age of quick swap where we don't always see the menus anymore. And we should also say welcome to our raiders from SpeedGaming 3. You are joining in progress an open league linked to the past randomizer matchup. This is the Courage Casual Boots matchup in a conference finals game 3 between Scottish Brave representing Last Locationeers and Maniacal representing Bottles on Empty.
Well, the other 2 medallions were there in Pyramid Fairy, which Maniacal decided to do before Swamp. And that was a fantastic decision for him because he is now in go mode. And that puts Scottish in a pretty difficult spot. It looks like she's probably going to do the Pyramid Fairy now, but is still going to be missing the Ice Rod.
Still missing Ice Rod, very likely to take that Bombos at the very least to Misery Mire. Entirely possible to also go to Turtle Rock here. Very much a situation where getting back to the front of Thieves Town not going to be the first, second, or maybe even third option that she's considering here.
Yeah, I would definitely think that Meyer will be first on the list because it's the crystal. A couple items in there. You hope you find the Ice Rod. And then after that, we will see.
Meanwhile, practically blink and you'll miss this clear of Swamp Palace by Maniacal needs to pick up this small key right here and then can run directly to the boss. No need to open any other chests. Already has Butter Sword, already has Red Mail, already has Silver Arrows, Half Magic, a couple of bottles. I can't imagine that there's really anything left that he would really be considering. I feel like maybe the cape was in here, since Scottish has it and Maniacal doesn't.
The cape was in here, but it was on Argus, so he will get it, even if he
get it anyway.
He doesn't open any other chests. Which is
easy game, right? Just go where the progression is.
Yep. Yeah, and I really not a lot worth opening chests for at this point from Maniacal. You could just do it for the fun, but there's really no reason to do so.
Scottish having that quick look at the disappointing Mire Shack, not going to find the Ice Rod in there today. And we'll see how Maniacal feels about maybe trying to pick up an extra heart container or two along the way, because that, I think, would be the most interesting thing to him that could still be left in chests. Given that he was practically on top of those two in the diver down room, I think we're going to see a whole lot of nothing until the hunt for big keys resumes in other
We are-
crystal dungeons.
We are not going to see any extraneous checks if those two were missed right there. I don't think.
If you think those two are too far out of the way, pretty much everything is too far out of the way.
Yeah, the hope for Scottish here is that the big key's buried somewhere, and they both have to open basically every chest because she's going to look for both items here, while Maniacal is not. So, she really needs this to be a not Godmire.
Particularly a vanilla big key without a small key in the northern firelocked chest would be the ideal if you're a Scottish partisan here. That's about the best way for Maniacal not to gain yet more time in Mire. And welcome to our raiders from SpeedGaming 5. 72 of you, that is quite the party. Welcome to this Link to the Past Randomizer Open League matchup. This is a conference finals matchup between Scottish Brave, representing Team Last Locationeers, and Maniacal, representing teams Bottle on Empty. Unfortunately, Scottish Brave has missed the ice rod in the front of Pendant Thieves Town and is not in go mode, while Maniacal is. Big key there in the northern firelocked chest, not really going to change Scottish's fortunes, I don't think, as Maniacal is now snapping on her heels and likely to pass her here within the dungeon.
Yeah, she's going to do this vanilla big key chest, which is going to take some time, thanks to a little cutscene. Maniacal is not going to do this.
And all that effort rewards a small key.
Yep, that feels pretty bad. Now she's going to go over and do the big chest. Before going up and then over the Vitreous.
Meanwhile, Maniacal very likely to find that big key in the very next check. Maybe 2 checks from now, depending on if he's one of those to come back out and check the hub chest there before going into the firelocked side. Scottish finding that piece of heart in the big chest is now on the way to Vitreous, but Maniacal is going to pick up the big key right here and be on the way to Vitreous.
Yeah, so Scottish could still finish this just a little bit ahead of Maniacal. And, if she goes straight to Thieves Town after this, this isn't over. But if she goes to Torok, I'm not sure that that will be overcome.
I do not think that would be recoverable, and she would need to God Vision the Ice Rod right out of here to close this back up and make it a race. We'll see a little spooky action from Scottish Brave. We will not see a little spooky action from Maniacal, who was down to 4 hearts and chose to powder an anti-fairy, safety being the course of wisdom, going to give away the 10 or 15 seconds here in the basement.
Yeah, so Scottish gets a little bit of time back, having successfully pulled up the spooky.
And Silver Arrow Vidi, blink and you miss it. 1 arrow to each of these 9 eyeballs, and then 2 to the main one once it pops up out of the goo, and Vitreous is done.
Extremely trivial fight with Silvers.
That is Crystal 6 on the board for Scottish Brave, to 6 here for Maniacal in the next 20 seconds-ish. The difference is, Maniacal is going to be able to go straight to Turtle Rock and has everything that he needs to beat it, while Scottish has a choice to make. And there is only one right choice. And she's not going to make it. This makes all the sense in the world. We're going to go look for Ice Rod in Turtle Rock, where it seems
this is
unreasonably high percentage of the time it's there, but not to be today.
Yeah, I mean, go into Turtle Rock, look for the Ice Rod, the aggressive play. I don't hate it. We know it's not there, but it is the sort of thing that if it is there and you don't go there, you could lose a race that way. So it's really a tough decision, and unfortunately, it's just not going to work out today.
Yep, that is one of those rando things. It's not a wrong play. This play makes all the sense in the world. We're just going to go ahead and continue treating the seed like a nice seed until it proves it's not. Unfortunately for Scottish, Maniacal was a little more thorough in the early Dark World checks and found the Ice Rod in a location that she bypassed.
Very close to simultaneous Turtle Rock openings here. That sort of thing excites you.
Now, I suppose we should say the nice thing about this is it's not a best of 3 series, it's a best of 5. So although Last Locationeers is likely, barring something horrible happening like a substantial tech issue on Maniacal's end, to be down 2 games to 1, they've still got a chance, and, well, Game 4 is a thing. I'm not sure. Maddie, do you know which one of these teams is the lower seed? Because the lower seed gets to pick the mode for Game 4.
I don't know. If it's based on who's on the bottom of the on the website, it's bottles on empty, but I don't know if that means anything.
And we do have confirmation from Structural Mike of Last Locationeers here in chat saying that Bottles on Empty is the lower seed and will get to pick the mode for Game 4.
It will not be Ambrosia because that was the choice that was made in Game 1. So out of the remaining 3, we'll get to see what decision they make.
Which would be between, I believe, Swordless, Hard MC Shuffle, and Hard Randomizer?
I think that's correct. All fantastic choices.
They make for great viewing, let's put it that way.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
As someone who not only talks about this game, but actually runs it from time to time, I will say things like that are generally more enjoyable to be watched than played. Now, I do believe that our raiders from SG5 were coming over from a match on the other side of the conference finals in the Open League. That would have been the Cased and Adalor matchup, a Game 4. We were just talking about Game 4s. Well, there was another one in that other series over there. And no spoilers, I wasn't watching the tail end of it anyway because, well, I was here in the booth commentating, but
Yeah,
if
I
you
do
need
not.
need a little more rando in your life, we should have the VOD of that available.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned it since the beginning, but this is the conference finals, and the team that wins is going on to the finals of Open League. All these teams have already earned their invite into the Invitational League next year, so all that's left to play for is the overall championship. But I think that's worth playing for still.
It certainly has some value. You'd kind of like to go out absolutely on top rather than saying, well, I got my invite to the Invitational League, but yeah, we got bounced in the first round of the teams that made it in. Much rather be able to say, we beat all comers.
We didn't lose.
Invitational League players.
And of course, if this does go to a Game 5, it will be the co-op reference mode, which have been fun viewing, for sure. The ones that I've seen.
Doesn't seem that we've gotten all that many of those Game 5s, but it is another one of those where it can get a little hectic. It's a mode that maybe not all runners are necessarily comfortable with, but it's a team environment, and well, you need to win through to win, and if it comes to a Game 5, that's your winner-go-home point.
Yep, both teams are gonna, the same position. It's not a mode that you're gonna play very often. So, how much you can practice beforehand, will do a lot to help determine how you do. All right, Maniacal's about to wrap up Train X and Turtle Rock and head into GT, while Scottish Brave is going to find out that the Ice Rod is not here and that she will have to go elsewhere.
So this is as good a time as any if you like to make those guesses of those 22 checks, most of which are trash, but one of which is going to contain treasure in the basement of Ganon's Tower today, to go ahead and start throwing those numbers out there, because Maniacal's going to go and start making those checks. How about you, Matty? You have a favored location, maybe even a favored route?
Well, I always do hope room first and go to the right if I get a key and back over to the left if I don't. My number is usually 8. It's usually wrong. How about yourself?
I tend to be more of a magician router these days, or some people have started calling it the Bwain route. I kind of like calling it the Bwain route because Bwain is a complete monster at this game, and any comparison that I can take to him is something that I'm not necessarily against. But it involves going over to the Stalco's room on the left-hand side, and then, rather than killing them, just mirroring out and going right. As for actual check number, maybe something along the lines of 11. But Maniacal finds 2 keys here in Hope Room, and the invitation to the right-hand side is strong enough that he's going to opt for it.
Meanwhile, Scottish found out that Ice Rod is not on the pedestal.
That would have been an interesting location for it, and I don't know that it really would have been all that helpful of a location for it for her, since Maniacal actually had already cleared one pendant dungeon. But seeds turning into all dungeons all of a sudden can be one of those things that turns a game on its head.
Yep, not in this case though. As usual, it's trash on the pedestal today.
Yep, no surprise to oh so many runners, that is a location that simply does not exist. Scottish Brave is at least in the right area now, going to go ahead and, yep, looks like we're going to get the front of the Easttown play, so going to have the Ice Rod, but Unfortunately, barring something completely unbelievable happening on Maniacal's side, it's going to be too little too late.
We did get the key there. I did, do a good job of counting at what number that was there.
I believe that was 9, because we got 6 over to the right, then we saw the torch, and that was the second chest opened in Stalco's room.
9 it is.
So, congratulations to our 9s. As Maniacal starts the climb. Silver arrows make very easy work of those couple of red mimic rooms.
Should be fairly straightforward. Red male, I think, still has both blue potions, magic powder in case he needs it.
Red Mail doesn't do a whole lot when the cannonballs knock you off into the pit, unfortunately, but we are seeing a red potion in inventory, and looks like Maniacal's just going to go ahead and use that.
May as well.
No reason to take any risks at this point if you can get on through to the room before Land Mode 2. You can always powder that anti-fairy, well, Bunny Beam in that case. But maybe you don't want to, because then you can have the Landmola worms popping up at the same time. Maybe that's not what you want, or maybe it is. Maybe you get your Red Cane out and try a Yuzu spin. Tough to say.
I think he's probably gonna stick with the standard 1 silver arrow to the head for each one of them. That last one tried to get away.
Yep, that third one tried to get away, tried to make that dive over to the left, but not to be. Maniacal with the 4th shot does manage to clean the room up. Scottish, without the portal save here, is having to make the entire trek back through Turtle Rock, an unfortunate sequence of events here.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes in Rando sometimes. Really, ended up being the big swing point of the match, that early Thieves Town check from Maniacal.
Who is all the way up the tower into Torches 2 now. We'll see Moldorm 2 here in just a handful of rooms. Has plenty of keys, doesn't need to stop off for anything, has seen almost all of the bottles. There's another one off on left side swamp that he's never going to get. We'll see if Maniacal enjoys the memes here, decides to open the ultimate chest of the game, but oh so often in races you'll see this skipped entirely unless there's something that could potentially be in there, because some people think they need to go fast. Got a race to win or something.
Yeah, you don't want to lose those 2 seconds opening that chest. Go, go, go.
Going to get simultaneous boss fights, but Scottish appears to be just a bit in arrears now. Trinex is not exactly Aghanim 2, who Maniacal is going to have a bit of an argument with here. The first pattern, not all that kind and generous. Takes 1 off of it, 2 off the second one. 2 off the third one. The presence of that blue ball ruined the potential 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, got it done in a good amount of time, though. Gonna have the showdown with the big pig.
Ganon at last. Maniacal has an outside shot of pulling this one in under 90 minutes. Kinda gonna depend on just how many warps Ganon wants to give us.
Yeah, the gold sword is good for one thing here in this game fight. It makes the 1-on-1 really easy. Just one cycle on the first 2 phases. Just needs 6 gold sword slashes and pretty generous amount of time which to do it. Now we're over to phase 3 where he can troll you with a few extra teleports.
Seems to be just a few teleports thus far, but has a few more chances to be a terrible, terrible pig. Scottish going to get to that big key just a little earlier. Opts for picking up both of those small keys in Hope Room and is going to go immediately to the right. That, however, is going to do it on Maniacal's side with 4 silver sticks into the pig. The pig explodes. He's going to stand there with that sword raised in the victory pose here for just a few seconds longer while the fanfare plays out. So go ahead and get your GGs in chat. That is Maniacal crossing the bridge, taking this game 3 for Bottles on Empty with a time of 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 12 seconds. Scottish Brave, now starting her climb, has all of the same things that Maniacal had, less the Butter Sword, but that's not really a difference maker here. The Silver Arrow is a little bit more important against these red mimics.
Yeah, with the silver arrows, I'm having a hard time thinking of anything that that doesn't die in one hit to either the tempered or the gold sword on the climb. So.
And we are joined in the booth by the victor of this game 3, Maniacal. Good game to you.
Hey, thanks. GG to Scottish as well. I kind of poked my head into the restream there after finishing, got a little bit of a glimpse of what was going on, which, Ice Rod hunts always are kind of feels bad.
It was a situation where your choice to play a little more thorough than Scottish Brave did when both of you hit the Dark World within a minute or so of each other really kind of was the difference, because you went in, you decided to have the look for both items in Skullwoods, came down to Thieves Town, pulled that Ice Rod out, and that, in the end, was your margin of victory.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to, watch it back and see exactly how it all went down. I felt like I played fairly clean on a screen to screen and in a macro decision making sense. I was pretty happy with the race. There were definitely some real spaghetti moments, but overall, I felt like it was a good race on my side, and it looks like Scottish, for all the extra things that she had to do, and it probably played quite well as well.
If the Ice Rod had been on the path in one of the remaining crystal dungeons, she was actually ahead of you going into the whole chain from the hammer and pod through to ice and swamp.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. I did put pod really, really late in sequence. Just didn't really want to get over there. Was kind of wary of Lamp showing up, honestly. Because that would tell me that I should go bomb dupe into Pyramid. And I was kind of looking around for that, expecting it not to necessarily be in the front of pod. No real reason, but just kind of was staying away from it. Did that partial north check early, and that kind of made the real east Dark World via north access pretty late in sequence for me.
Yeah, you both had the option to do that, and Scottish did it a little earlier. I think maybe, and we'll have to ask her if we can get her in here for an interview of her own, if it was because she last located the Moon Pearl, so Zora was already off the table for her. So Catfish was really kind of just hanging out there in that corner with nothing else to draw her over there. So on the North Dark World loop, she just went ahead and made the hop.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I was able to get away without doing the early Agena or early Zora. And when Moonpearl showed up in Hera Basement, I kind of wanted to just write those off for good, but I know Scottish is a little bit more aggressive of a player than I am in a general sense, and so I thought I might be able to get away with sort of leaning in on a little bit more aggression on my end as well, given that it was likely we'd make some similar skips in that regard. But at the end of the day, I decided to play pretty thorough.
Yeah, she did skip out on the Hera Basement at first, having gone up. Having gone up there before Desert Palace and having to come back for that Moonpearl.
I did it when I killed Moldorm.
She did, not you.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. I didn't want to have to make a decision about Hera Basement, so I went and did Desert first because I was already on East Death Mountain, so it's a save and quit to Old Man from either side. So it just didn't make a difference in the time, even though I was, like, at the time standing closer. Having that early save and quit on the mountain and the flute really made it pretty modular which to do first. And knowing that I could definitely get everything out of Desert more easily, I guess, than Hera. I was eyeing the idea of maybe being able to skip that basement, but by the time I got up there, I was really priced in.
Yeah, one other thing that worked out pretty well for you was doing Pyramid Fairy before Swamp Palace, where you got that Bombus medallion and could then go mode the rest of the dungeon.
Yeah, I felt like that was one of the calls that worked out best for me. The reason for it was that Ice had such trash, really, that I was really worried that Hammer wasn't the thing, and it might have been that lamp. As I was saying, I was really on high alert for lamp because it would open up the potential for Hammer in Pyramid Fairy, and I didn't really want to get burned by that today. And so when Ice was just all trash fill, I was just like, okay, I'm going to chase the other fork from that pod logic, go look behind the lamp and see if I can find it at Pyramid, because Hammer doesn't seem to be what the game wants me to be doing right now. And it just, like, the potential to be able to skip left side like that, because if I was going to be in Swamp, I was going to get all the items at that point. Like, a medallion can just be heckin' anywhere, so I knew that going into Swamp was a commitment.
Yeah, and go ahead and get some GGs in chat for Scottish Brave. It's about to walk across the bridge and finish off the seed herself.
Yeah, big GG to Scottish Brave. Very, very scary opponent.
We'll see if we can get Scottish up for interview as well.
I see, we've got her in the waiting room. All we have to do is wait for her to pop up. If not, maybe we've got drag powers.
I'm sure she'll come up here to chat soon enough. And oh, there she is. GG, Scottish Brave.
GG's.
Yeah, GG's.
GG's. That was mean for me.
The ice rod was rather unfortunate.
Yeah, I think that's 2 or 3 quite recently where the ice rod has not been in Turtle Rock like it's supposed to be.
That's a tome, right?
Yeah, sometimes they hide it in weird spots, and I don't understand, like, why is it not just on Laser Bridge?
Wait, what? Sometimes it's not in Turtle Rock? No, that's wrong. You're wrong. It can't be.
I understand. Hera Basement is always rubbish too, and so, like, I was not happy with this seed.
No, do you know what? I thought about it as soon as I left. I was like, do you know, you should maybe just do it because you've got like I've got mirror. You know, just do it. Just do it while you're here. And then like the sensible part of me was like, no, it's in desert. I've just everything you've got is just leading you to desert. Go desert because it's totally in there. Totally wasn't.
Oh, yeah, I didn't want to have to make that choice, I was saying. So I went, like, from East Death Mountain. I just went to desert before going back up to do Hera because I didn't have the hammer anyway. So it was a mountain climb either way. And so by the time I got into Hera, I was just like, well, if the item doesn't show up, I'm doing the basement.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the better route to do.
It was really predicated on the fact that I was like, things are getting so thin. I don't want to put myself in a position to, strand Hera basement because I was looking at, really it was Zora, I think Mushroom turn in and that and Hera basement by the time I went in to do it. It was not many things. I guess Fire Rod Aga Tower hoping to get around the lamp, but like that would be lunacy.
Yeah, no, I lived up to the team name for that pearl.
Oh, it is rough. I didn't have rupees for Zora, or I would have been. I probably would have done it. Where'd you end up getting your rupees? Did you do the Eastern room?
No, like literally, like when did I go back? I think from like Paradox and everything. I had like 330 and change. Tried to do Houlihan, failed. So I was like, right, well, I'll not just try that again. I'll just do everything else and hope that I get enough. And yeah, there was a couple of 300 rupees. Yeah, a couple of 300 rupees sitting around somewhere that gave me enough to go and do it.
Okay, yeah, I guess on East Death Mountain we must have gotten the rupees to do it because, and by then we had crystal dungeon options ahead of us, so I stayed away.
No, I
And
did.
for the 350 rupees were the only prizes in Desert Palace.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So after Mountain, then
Yeah.
going over to Desert, yeah. At that time, I was all keyed in on Hera. I was just saying I'm going to keep the crystal in front of me, and I'll go do Zora after if I'm going to get punished because I'd have to do Hera anyway.
Yeah, no, I did Hera first. Did not work out for me.
Still, with all the extra stuff, it sounds like you did between clearing out Mire, clearing Swamp, clearing Turtle Rock and going through twice, last locating the Pearl. I mean, 136, that's a hell of a time.
Thank you.
So,
yeah, no,
GG.
I think I had. Thank you. Yeah, no, I had would I have one check in Pod, one check in Skull, whatever else is in Thieves Town, and Spike. So yeah, I was just really hoping. I went straight for Thieves Town. I was like, right, you've got the most. Please don't be somewhere rubbish. Please don't be somewhere like Spike Cave.
Yeah, I never got to Spike, Ether Tab, Hammer Pegs because Hammer was so late, and then like items in dungeons basically at that point. Like I guess Mimic Cave Pedestal, but things that were just out pretty much. I guess technically could have been Pedestal still, but I did not get up there to check it.
A little piece of love, if I remember right.
Sounds about right. I think the credits told me something like that.
Yeah, it was just before it was dipping pendant dungeons. I was like, just let me know if I need to start clearing them or not. Then yeah, it's just like a little bit of love. I was like, brilliant, Thieves Town, here I come. But yeah, I normally do that. I normally check the front, and just kind of recently I've stopped doing it, and it's been paying off. So it's like, yeah, no, it'll be fine today. It'll be absolutely fine. Nothing in the front of Thieves Town that I need. Again, I was very wrong.
Yeah, that's the philosophy with that one. I felt bad. I actually almost continued through to the back for the other two items just because I really didn't want to put myself in like a double dip situation. But you're so fast. I knew I couldn't get away with it. I was like, if I do the back of Thieves and it's not something, if I'm not like getting the ultimate greed pendant play, I know Scottish doesn't want to be in here, and I should just like cut and hope it's just the ice rod.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to. I was like, let's just try and skip it. I'd focused on Pod, and I was like, right, Pod has it. I checked, pardon me, the front of Skullwoods, and there's nothing in it, so I was like, cool, Pod's the answer, because it's Pendant Pod, and there's always something in Pendant Pod, right?
And
Got that left, and I was like, feeling
Yeah.
good right now.
yeah, you were apparently there well before me, because I was very late to it. I did all of Skull. I guess I didn't open the big chest, but I got both the items. So
You
it
know,
was-
I was. Were you considering Ice Palace?
I wasn't. So generally, I'm really, really trying to avoid like unforced double dips on my crystals.
Mm.
Like, I'm much more forgiving of that with pendants, just because like there's a good chance that you don't actually have to go back. But I was gonna put crystal ice pretty darn late when I was looking for hammer. It was going to probably be after bomb duping to go check Pyramid Fairy and see if it was there, because that was a lamp away if I didn't find lamp in pod.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was next on my list after Pod. Then Pod was like, here it is. I was like, yes, let's go.
Yeah,
But
pod.
yeah, same
Pod came
reasons.
through today.
Yeah, I loved that it had my lamp. Loved it.
Yeah, you have the lamp emote. That's a commitment to lamp.
That's because lamp is love and lamp is life, and everybody should love lamp. There's some hatred for the lamp in the community here, and I don't understand it. Lamp is love.
Lamp is pretty fantastic. I'm gonna be on your side on that one.
Yay!
I was not sad to see lamp. I was okay not seeing lamp, but always happy to see it.
Yeah.
Except when it puts Aga for Pyramid Fairy in Logic and you get a little sad. But then Hammer showed up.
Do you know, I didn't even think about that either. I was just like, lamp! Oh god, that
was a
green
little-
thing.
I was like, oh, that puts Hammer in Pyramid Fairy with those 2 early reds. Really didn't want to see that right now. But then Hammer dropped pretty quickly, so it worked out.
I was very, very, very happy to see that hammer.
Absolutely. I think I got most of what I wanted to say about the seed out. Was there anything else that you wanted to go over, Scottish?
No.
I
I'm
mean-
okay now.
I just want to thank both of you for doing our jobs for us and handling the interview portion of this without much need for us to participate. That was great.
It's always
Yeah.
nice when you can just turn it over to the runners when you've been talking for an hour and a half. Thank you both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank
now,
you
this
both.
this does set up a game 4, Bottles on Empty, now up 2-1. Need to win a third game somewhere. Maniacal, any hints about who and what might be run out there for a game 4?
The what I don't know. We did discuss this in the scheduling channel, and we decided that as policy, whichever team was ahead was going to declare their runner first. And I'm going to pop over into our group DM just to be sure that there've been no hiccups before I say anything in that regard. Yeah, no surprises. Ninjembro is going to be doing our game 4 for us. He hasn't lost a 1v1 yet. Came real close last round, but he hasn't done it yet. And we're going to hope that he can pull through for us again.
All right, Scottish, you've heard it. Last Locationeers, backs to the wall now. Need to win a game to force a game 5. Who are you going to
Yeah.
throw out? Do you know yet?
All I can say is it's not going to be me. We're not entirely too sure, to be honest. But it'll either be Mike or Zen, because if like Randomizer was picked, I hate Randomizer with a fiery passion. So yeah, I'm gonna stick and hopefully wait for the veterans to come along. So yeah, not 100% sure yet, to be honest. It also kind of depends on when the match is going to be. because we're getting our booster shots tomorrow, and if it's Zen, then I don't want Zen to be sitting there feeling rubbish trying to get through an Randomizer sheet.
Yeah, we've got a week, so I'm sure we can find a time where, health we'd be highly confident in the health of the runners.
Yes, I think that would be a little bit priority, and then we can put on a good show for everybody.
That's all we want at this stage of the tournament, I think, is just really, really good races, because at this point in Open League, I mean, yes, we want to win, but it's almost like exhibition at this point, because there's not, like, a prize other than title to play for at this point.
This is where you get to try and intimidate all of those Invitational League players you're going to be facing off with next year.
All I see when I play is like, wow, Bottles on Empty looks juicy. I hope they're in our group if I'm an NV player already. I'm like, wow, look at Maniacal fishing his way around with scrub tier strats. I got to do some upgrading. 4 years off of A Link to the Past rando didn't do me great.
Yeah, I've got to learn everything that I've not learned yet in a year.
Well, jokes aside, you do have to be very good players to reach this point, so you should feel very proud.
Parried very well. Thank you, Zen and Michael.
That too.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to the rest of the games in the series. Would be more than happy to get another shot at doing more co-op entrants. Barnage and I put a decent amount of work into it for last week's win or go home game, and so I came around to finally actually liking the Game 5 format. I initially was not too big on it, but like for after enough time with it, I started to feel a little bit better, and actually rather enjoyed it by the end, and felt it was kind of a cool choice.
Yeah, both teams needed to win a Game 5 to get to this point, right? Scottish, your team did that in the first round?
Yeah, we did, yeah. I'm the same. I actually really enjoyed it. It was a bit kind of intimidating at first because you're continually yelling information at each other, but I really enjoyed it. So, I mean, I'm not saying if Ninjembro could throw that would be like ideal, but I'm just saying that would be cool for Game 5.
I mean, assuming the timing works out, I'd happily play the Game 5 either way, assuming we could get it on the schedule. whether just a scrimmage as potential practice for later for either team, or just to enjoy some rando, or whether for the league result.
That would be cool, yeah.
Really enjoying this matchup. So GG's again to Scottish Brave and all of my teammates and all of the rest of Last Locationeers as well. It's been a really fun day around now.
Certainly, and we'll definitely be looking out for the Game 4. Should be fun, and possibly Game 5. Any final thoughts from either of you before we wrap up for now?
Not really, just big thanks to comms and crew and everyone who makes this happen, and just good luck to Ninjembro and whoever of the Last Locationeers is up in Game 4. I'm looking forward to being on the sideline for that one.
Yeah, same. Thank you very much for having us on the restream as well, for the comms and the trackers and restreamer and everything. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you for running. If you enjoyed this race, go ahead and give both of our runners, Scottish Brave 44 and Maniacal, a follow. Thank you to Nochibato for handling the tracking. Go ahead and give him a follow as well. And thank you to my co-commentator, me and Diem. It's been a pleasure to be in the booth with you commentating this race today. I will leave you with the final word. Anything you'd like to say before we head out tonight?
All right. Thank you very much, Norsk Maddie. It has been a blast. I hope that everybody enjoyed. We had a good hour and a half show put on. Unfortunately, a bit of an ice rod hunt caused the issue on Scottish Brave's side. That means Models on Empty is going to go into Game 4, leading 2-1. We don't know exactly who's going to play in it on the Last Locationeers side, but we know they're going to be up against Ninjembro for Bottles on Empty, who does not apparently lose 1v1 matchups. So, Last Locationeers have their work cut out for them. Come back later. We'll have it on the schedule eventually. When we know when that game's going to be, we'll get that commed, tracked, and everything else. Come back for some more rando action. Speaking of league matchups, I believe this was the last one for today. However, if you need a little more, tomorrow at 4:10 p.m. Eastern Time, we have an Invitational League matchup. That's going to be Dante representing Team the Titansmiths versus Gamachu representing Team Skull Kids. Yes, we have a rematch of the grand finals of this year's main tournament on tap tomorrow afternoon. So by all means, please come back and join us then. But until that time, let's go ahead and say, have a good rest of your day, everybody.